Happy Wednesday, readers, and welcome back to my library. We are picking up where we left off on The Magic Treehouse, number 1, Dinosaurs Before Dark by Mary Pope Osborn. Where we left off before, Jack had just found a medallion with a fancy letter M on it. We are on chapter 6, Dinosaur Valley. Annie, look at this, Jack called. Look what I found. Annie had gone up to the hilltop. She was picking a flower from the magnolia tree. Annie, look, a medallion, shouted Jack. But Annie wasn't paying attention to Jack. She was staring at something on the other side of the hill. Oh, wow, she said, clutching her magnolia flower. She took off down the hill. Annie, come back, Jack shouted, but Annie had disappeared. Oh, brother, Jack muttered. He stuffed the gold medallion into his jeans pocket. Then Jack heard Annie shriek. Annie, he said. Jack heard another sound as well, a deep bellowing sound like a tuba. Jack, come here quick, Annie called. Jack raced up the hill, and when he got to the top, he gasped. The valley below was filled with nests, big nests made out of mud. The nests were filled with tiny dinosaurs. Annie was crouching next to one of the nests. Towering over her was a gigantic duck-billed dinosaur. Don't panic, don't move, said Jack. He stepped slowly down the hill toward Annie. The huge dinosaur was waving her arms and making her tuba sound. And that has a picture. Jack stopped. He didn't want to get too close. He knelt on the ground. Okay, move toward me slowly, he said. Annie started to stand. Don't stand, crawl, said Jack. Clutching her flower, Annie crawled toward Jack. Still bellowing, the duck-billed dinosaur followed her. Annie froze. Keep going, Jack said. Annie started crawling again. Jack inched further down the hill until he was just an arm's distance from Annie. He reached out and grabbed her hand, and he pulled her toward him. Stay down, Jack said. He crouched next to her. Bow your head and pretend to chew. Chew, said Annie. Yes, said Jack. I read that's what you do if a mean dog comes at you. She's no dog, Jack, said Annie. Just chew, said Jack. Jack and Annie both bowed their heads and pretended to chew. Soon a dinosaur grew quiet. Jack looked up. I don't think she's mad anymore, he said. You saved me, said Annie. Thanks. You have to use your brain, Annie, said Jack. You can't just go running to a nest of babies. There's always a mother nearby. Annie stood up. Annie, don't, said Jack. Too late. Annie held out her magnolia flower to the dinosaur. I'm sorry I made you worry about your babies, she said. The dinosaur moved closer to Annie. She grabbed the flower from her hand. She reached for another. No more, said Annie. Dinosaur let out a sad tuba sound. But there's more flowers up there, Annie said, pointing to the top of the hill. I'll get you some. Annie hurried to the top up the hill. The dinosaur waddled after her. Jack quickly looked at the dinosaur babies. Some were cracking out of their nests. Where are the mothers? Jack wondered. Jack took out a dinosaur book and he flipped through the pages until he found a picture of the same dinosaur. He read the caption. The Ankylosaurus lived in colonies. While a few mothers babysat the nests, the others looked for food. So there were probably more mothers close by looking for food. Hey, Jack, Annie called. Jack looked up. Annie was at the top of the hill feeding magnolia flowers to a giant Ankylosaurus. Guess what? Annie said. She's nice too. Suddenly the Ankylosaurus made her terrible tuba sound. Annie crouched down and started to chew. The dinosaur charged down the hill. She seemed afraid of something. Jack put the book on top of his pack and he hurried to Annie. I wonder why she ran away, said Annie. We were starting to be friends. Jack looked around and he saw in the distance almost made him faint. An enormous monster was coming across the plain. Look at that. The monster was walking on 2 strong legs and swinging a long, thick tail and dangling 2 tiny arms. It had a huge head and its jaws were wide open. Even from far away, Jack could see its long, gleaming teeth. "Tyrannosaurus Rex," whispered Jack. Chapter 7. Ready, set, go. "Run, Annie, run!" cried Jack. "Run to the treehouse!" Jack and Annie dashed down the hill together. They ran through the grass and ferns past the pterodon. They scrambled up the rope ladder and tumbled into the treehouse. Annie leapt to the window. "It's going away," she panted. Jack pushed his glasses into place. He looked out the window with Annie. The Tyrannosaurus was wandering off, but then the monster stopped and turned around. "Duck," said Jack. The 2 of them ducked their heads. After a moment, they peeked out the window. "Coast clear," said Jack. "Yay," whispered Annie. "We have to get out of here," said Jack. "You made a wish before, right?" said Annie. "Right," said Jack. He took a deep breath. "I wish we could go back to Frog Creek." Nothing happened. He said, "I wish," started Jack. "Wait, you remember you were looking at a picture in the dinosaur book, remember?" "Oh no, I left the book in my pack on the hill. I have to go back." "Forget it," said Annie. "I can't," said Jack. "The book doesn't belong to us. Plus my notebook with all my notes is in my pack. And my—" Okay, said Annie. "I'll hurry," said Jack. He climbed quickly down the ladder and leaped to the ground. Jack raced past the pterodon, through the ferns, through the tall grass, and up the hill. He looked down. His pack was lying on the ground. On top of it was the dinosaur book. But now the valley below was filled with Antosauruses. They were standing guard around the nests. Where had they been? Did they fear the Tyrannosaurus sent them home? Jack took a deep breath. "Ready, set, go," he thought. He charged down the hill, ran to his backpack. He scooped it up. He grabbed the dinosaur book. Jack heard a terrible tuba sound, and another, and another. All the Antosauruses were bellowing at him. Jack took off. He raced up the hilltop. He started down the hill. He stopped. The Tyrannosaurus Rex was back. It was standing between Jack and the treehouse. Oh man, friends. Here is that picture. Oh, I think this is a good place to stop. I'm getting kind of worried. We are almost done with this book. I can't wait to finish it with you guys. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you tomorrow with some more stories.